you think graphic design is?
I'm actually not quite sure.
Like drawing with a computer.
Yeah? And what do you think?
Probably like graffiti art, all that
Graffiti art?
Yeah.
Any?
Computers and pictures. Yeah, that's it.
I think it's people sitting in really fancy offices at Apple Macs, designing lots of stuff for posters, flyers. Probably a lot of it's a lot less creative than they want it to be, and they're possibly just designing like corporate business cards and stuff. I guess it's a whole range of things, from like really interesting stuff to a lot of mundane stuff, but usually done in like nice, sterile, well-designed settings. Yeah.
Okay.
Think of pretty pictures and the organising of information, so it looks good and it's easy to understand. It's when it expresses the idea and the feel of what you're trying to communicate successfully.
Do you think any brand in particular does that well?
I think Triple J does that really well.
Yeah?
Yeah, very, very well.
Hi. It's actually strange how people can't define graphic design when it really does, take over all of their lives. The whole idea of breakfast is the package and how that package has been designed in a way to capture the feeling of health and the idea that it's going to be good for you, or it's so exciting, and from that breakfast you go on to, all the things that are in the world that are designed. The clothes that you have the labels on it, the car has the badging and the design of it, the signs on the street, the posters on the walls, everything is designed. It's so, I suppose it's a consumer society, but it's also a visual society. And this visualness is becoming more and more important. And so graphic designers are the visual, the makers of visual culture. There are other peoples in there, architects and artists and stuff, who participate in this, and everyone does participate in a way as well. But graphic designers are, core to how people are going to, be integrated into the world, because graphic design is somehow an interface between the world, how you see it and how you want to see the world. So there are lots of things in there, and advertising is certainly an aspect of graphic design, and it's a very commercial one, so it becomes quite visible to people. But there's other marketing aspects to it, about presenting ideas, anti-war, presenting ideas, looking after children, education. So there's the commercial side, and then there's the promotional side. So there's a whole aspect to what it is. And so graphic design can be a long way. So to look at graphic design, we can look at it from a different ways. First of all, we're going to look at it from the tools that we have. Now, I suppose the first one to look at is colour. And behind me, they're quite primary colours. And so they're exciting. I suppose they're childlike in a way, but they do have that energy in it. Certainly the choices of colours in graphic designers make is towards a psychology about how to understand how other people are going to interact with that colour. So without necessarily studying a huge amount of psychology, they build up a rapport with an idea about the demographics and connect that to colours and emotions. So there's another definition of graphic design. It's not building something, it's defining and resolving some message in someone else. So it's a weird concept about how to get to an understanding of someone else. That demographic, defining it, through different levels. And a lot of people go through that demographic, but it's a really interesting game, So we've got colour, we've got typography, and everyone has types on their computers. And actually choosing fonts is actually a really weird concept, because it's looking for some way to connect the way that I'm talking with a font. Now, what sort of font would you choose for my sort of speaking? So how large it is, is it something to do with serifs, or is it more stark in that sans serif thing? Its colour, the way that is, and so even the structure of how those words would go are really important. To try and emulate the way we speak, to try and give messages, and that's what it's all about. So choosing the font, but also arranging them in a way that really does have a feeling and a connection of emotion. So we've got colour, we've got typography, we've certainly got layout and how it fits together, how these things, now there's lots of outcomes, but how you use space and how you arrange these things to organize information. So, and I suppose that's the end thing. That graphic design isn't really about making graphics, it's about making meaning. And graphic design has also got the other term about visual communication. Graphic design has the other term about visual communication, so we're actually communicating visually. Sounds reasonable, but in that movement away from graphic design into saying, no, we're about communication, it opens up the question about what is the outcome? And the outcome is not the graphic. It might be a graphic, but it might be some other things, and how that graphic and where that graphic and what it actually says is important. So these are the things that are really impinging on the message. And so thinking about the message and getting that message together. It's a little bit like the news. And you look at the news and it's got, 30 seconds about one thing. And someone's got to, obviously journalists, but it's a similar thing. There's so much information in the world. How do we condense it down to that 30 seconds? And in graphic design, how do we condense down all the information that we're going to talk about, a product or an event or whatever, into a really quite solid message that people are going to understand and connect with? So there's a lot in there about how that's going to happen. So we've got, so they're the tools that we've got. And obviously the tool in itself is the computer, and it's got fabulous options. It's got Photoshop and manipulating images. It's got Illustrator to create and and to resize aspects, and then there's InDesign about how to lay out documents and stuff. So yes, the computer also has video, like this video here. It's on my webcam, and it has animation, and it's certainly got colors. It's got millions of colors. So computer's a fabulous tool for graphic design because it can really give me the power to do things, and the power also comes with that choice thing. How I'm going to choose what's going to come out of it. So now we're looking at graphic design from the outcome point of view, and here's the illustration. So the choice of content and style and the way that it's going to be, to grab people's attention. And here's paper cutouts to try and get to feel for the people, and then the layout, incorporating topography and illustration and the message. Now, a lot of things have got to do with identity. So here's logos, how to condense down these, quite complex places into, just that one little symbol, and then its application across, letterheads and business cards and all that sort of thing. And then you go on to advertising, which is, another step about how to capture and identify how those companies are, and then to layouts. So this is magazine layouts, choosing images and the arrangement of space and type, and then to packaging. So you've got the image and the topography and the three-dimensionality and how it comes out. So here we've got structures of organization of information and research and display to show you different things, and then it goes on to websites. So how websites are displayed, how they organize it, how they get people to interact with the things. And I think it all comes back to this image here. It's just a first-year play, but how do you define the message, and how do you look at the message you want to give, and then you connect it with visual nature, you look at the language it uses, it looks at the style and the outcome of it, and then it organizes where it's going to come out. It's going to come out on the street, it's going to come out in a style that young people are connecting with, and it's going to make a difference in the world, I suppose. So I'm not promoting graffiti, but the idea of how graphic design gets ideas, builds it, and delivers it to the people in the right way. I think this is a really intriguing part of graphic design. So, yes, it is a visual language. Yes, we've got lots of aspects to look at, and yes, graphic design is a tool for companies and for people to grab onto to help them make messages. Anyway, that's a conclusion to what is graphic design. It's a hard one to define. It's a hard one to actually teach as well. There's another video that follows this. It says how to get the most out of graphic designers, and I think that's probably an intriguing concept for a lot of you. Cheers.